So today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to play disc golf. Um, Disc golf is a sport that was created in the early 80s, um, pretty much by hippies, honestly. They would throw their whammo frisbees around. They would make their own courses in parks and say, hey, so from this stump to this tree, we need to get it in 3 shots or else you don't have par. Disc golf is played on the par system just like regular ball golf, and what that means is there's a set number of strokes that you have to make the disc in, and if you make it in more than that, you go plus the number of strokes. If you make it in less than that, you go negative the number of strokes. You want to play in the least amount of strokes possible, and the lower the score, the better. So disc golf has a few different discs. It's got 4 main type of discs. You've got a putter. This is the most frisbee-like disc. It's got a very rounded nose, a very deep rim, and it looks most like a frisbee, and it's going to probably feel the most comfortable to you when you first start playing. Then you got a mid-range. Mid-range looks a lot like a putter, but it's a little more beveled on the edge, and it's going to fly a little further. You have a fairway driver, and then you have a distance driver. Now, to start out with disc golf, I would recommend starting with just a putter. And the reason why is because it's going to feel most like a frisbee, and it's going to fly most neutral for you. What I mean by a neutral flight is every disc golf disc has a tendency to crash left or right depending on if you throw right-handed or left-handed. It'll crash left if you throw right-handed, or it'll crash right if you throw left-handed. This is because of the spin that you put on the disc. But a putter, on the other hand, is a slower disc, so it's not going to cut through the air as quick, so it doesn't really have a tendency to crash left or right too hard. It's really just going to fly neutral. A starting disc golfer really needs that neutral flight to feel like they are achieving their best at the time. Once you get a higher arm speed, or you learn how to throw frisbees a little bit better and you have better form, then you can step up to the mid-range. And the mid-range disc has more of a bevel. It cuts through the air more, but then it will have that tendency to crash off left or crash off right. Stepping up again is to the fairway driver, and once you get to the driver, you're going to feel like you have the most distance, and by far you will get the most distance compared to a putter to a driver. And then finally, distance driver will give you even more distance. So once you start, I would go into a store, I would ask for a putter, or just feel all the putters and feel which one feels the best, and then go out to your park and just play around. Every single park should have some tee signs that are set up for you, and they'll say the par that you need to play at, add 2 to that par. As a beginning disc golfer, you don't want to ever feel discouraged, and adding 2 extra strokes to every single hole is probably the best way to start, because most courses are played under the pro system of just par 3 for every single hole. But we don't really want you to have to feel like you have to throw a putter in 3 shots. Instead, 5 shots is more easy for a beginning disc golfer. Another good way to start disc golfing is start it up with a friend. It's something to do out with even a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and it's a walk in the park, and it's a pretty cheap sport to start. Another thing to do once you get going in the sport and you get pretty good is I would recommend grabbing yourself a fairway driver like I showed you before. The fairway driver is going to be a slower driver than your distance driver, but it's still going to give you some distance and speed, because as you can see, that wing right here, it's going to cut through the air a little bit better than your putter that you started with. Disc golf is a very fun sport. You can jump online and Google disc golf courses around you, and you will be able to start playing.